Death's Door is an indie action adventure, bringing you into a world where you play as a crow, working in an agency as a reaper to bring souls to their final rest, but things are not as they used to be. Join me on a journey through a world of Zelda-like dungeon exploration and hidden secrets as we seek to unlock all the achievements in Death's Door. We start with arriving at the Reaper Commission headquarters and talk to the homeless crow next to the fountain, having no worries, just laughing and telling us to stay safe. Past all plard and into the office we go, and get our assignment of getting a giant soul. Our handler then drops in our door and reminds us that as long as we don't return with the assigned soul, we stay mortal. Before going after the assigned soul, we look around the hall of doors and find an umbrella, which will be important at the end. Now we enter the door and arrive in the Grove of Spirits, where our assigned soul is located. This place also acts as a tutorial for rolling, attacking and ability usage. In the end we find our assigned soul. The boss doesn't move much, which gives us plenty of opportunities to attack, be it by walking with the stamps, whilst dodging them, or as they stand on them. It lets us end the fight with no problems. As we are going to collect the soul, we get knocked down. After waking up, only a door is left, and with no other options left, we go through it. Upon arriving at the lost cemetery, we explore the area and catch glimpses of the crow that stole our soul. We also find a seed that we can plant in pots to heal ourselves. We then also pass by a red keyhole where we can access another door. We make our way through rooms full of enemies, and to keep going we have to defeat them all. As we go deeper, we keep planting seeds and collecting more soul orbs. We also collect keys, on which opens a path where we meet the gravedigger's dead home. He works until the day his soul is reaped. Thinking we are freeing him, he tells us to attack him, and with normal attacks not working, he tells us to try a charge or a roll attack, teaching us how to do it. But when that doesn't work either, he steps aside and lets us pass, going back to work. As we go back to finding the soul, we find a shrine where we get our first vitality crystal, one of 4 needed to increase our HP. After more encounters, we experience our first death right before facing the guardian of the door, who gives us a second death. On our next attempt, we go in with a simple plan: 1, 2, 3 roll, and repeat it until the guardian falls apart. We find the suspect putting the assigned soul into a door, trying to open it with no result. The Grey Crow admits to taking our soul, telling us his past of being a reaper himself, looking for the soul behind the door. Death's Door. The end of life. A true myth. Doors are powered by soul, but the one we were assigned wasn't enough. With it gone, our death is bound to happen. So it tells us to get 3 souls of people expanding their life in unnatural ways. The old witch in the north, self-proclaimed king in the east, and the beast on top of the mountain in the west. Our goal now being to obtain those 3 souls, we make our way north. In the catacombs, we take a birdcage down and follow the path, leading us to the state of the Urn Witch, where we need to shoot arrows through flames to ignite more fires to activate switches. At the next door we travel back to the office and put a point in strength and haste before meeting Potted at the estate garden entry. He is stuck in his journey, not being able to reach the levers to open the gate, and asks for our help. So we make our way left, clearing the puzzle and the few enemies on the way. On the right side we encounter 2 bigger groups of enemies fighting our way to the lever opening the gate. It's Yuzolo here then tells us to come sit down with him. He then talks about how he got this pothead as a result of the witch's obsession with living forever. We depart to meet at the manor's gate and start on the right side, fighting a couple more enemies to then walk into smoke. Alone he is no problem, and after a big encounter we find some rogue diggers next to the lever, leading us to our pot friend playing as a statue at the gate. On the left side we find a puzzle to which we will come back later. And walking past it we find the other lever to open the gate. In the entrance area we get introduced to doors that open after destroying specific pots. The ceramic manor brings us more pot enemies and fire puzzles, which lead us to an area with a tougher enemy, whose defense we need to break to deal damage. And no, hitting it from the back doesn't hurt.
Huh?
Anyways, defeating him lets us reach a corpse of another crow. We free it and it says something about being abandoned before disappearing inside the door in the main hall, lighting up one of 4 squares. On our way back we walk into the witch, who doesn't seem to want us in her manor, but we keep looking for more reaper souls to free. While searching for them we find a shrine, this time giving us a shard from our magic crystal. We continue searching and find the remaining souls, each of which tells us that something about the company feels off. Meanwhile, the witch is getting more and more annoyed with us for snooping around her mansion. We stumble upon our first shiny thing before heading back to the main hall to open the ancient door. It takes us back to the Hall of Doors, where we find and open a large chest. Inside we fight 4 different waves of enemies, one harder than the last, to the point where the chest had had enough. Using our new spell, we try to find our way back and stumble upon a logbook reporting obscure orders from way up. We also find another office with a logbook talking about a friend on a routine mission being abandoned in the manor, with a shiny thing next to it. Back in the manor we see the wooden spoon of our pot friend with traces of soup on the ground next to a locked door, for which we light lanterns to open it and go down with the elevator reaching the furnace observation rooms. Over handcuffs and conveyor belts we see Potted in the jar and try finding him deeper in, where we then walk into the witch, who then tells us to leave her and her grandson alone before disappearing with him again. We open the door to the furnace core, where we light furnace after furnace, clearing it entirely until we face the Witch of Earths. We take her soul, everyone says the goodbyes, and Potted admits to us that she was truly his grandma, still having his pot, accepting his fate. We head back to the office, but don't arrive where we should. Following the path leads us to the Lord of Doors, who doesn't understand why we are there and gives us some words of approval, thinking that's what we want before kicking us out. Landing in front of our handler, telling us the giant soul we have doesn't matter and to go out and find our assigned one. We level up and continue our journey to the east, finding incense before getting down to the forest. Passing the big door brings us to the overgrown ruins, introducing Venus flytrap enemies and some forest grunts. There are also plants shooting explosives after us when we hit them, letting us destroy cracked walls. Further up the ruins we find a camp of forest children and their mother. She asks us to retrieve her magic horn, which she left at their old camp after they were driven away. In the camp we also meet Barb the Bard, who wishes to hear the mother's horn play. So we continue exploring the path until we reach the old camp, where we collect the magic horn and make our way back to the new camp. Talking to the bard afterwards lets us listen to a song about our adventure. After some listening, we continue into the ruins, reaching the mushroom dungeons. Other than a door for us, there's a clever grunt being locked up by the Frog King. Speaking of the Frog King, he pops his head through the wall just 2 rooms further in, trying to stop us from continuing. We keep going, and on our first trip through the dungeon we get lost and somehow end up outside again. Following this path led us to an electrified hammer weapon and also end back up where we started. On the second tour of the dungeon we explored everything, bringing us to each of the abandoned souls, and whilst doing so the Frog King keeps popping in, telling us that he is a good ruler for the area. We enter the ancient door and land next to another chest. This gauntlet just threw all the enemies we had recently fought at us, and with so many projectiles, it felt impossible. However, thanks to the reflection mechanic, it was manageable, allowing us to escape. The new bomb spell lets us destroy the cracked walls ourselves. We find 2 new logbooks questioning the orders from above more and more, since they are getting told to close all ongoing assignments and to lock all the doors. All because of some seismic event. After leveling up some more, we go back to the beginning of the mushroom dungeon and free the grunt, before taking a path previously blocked by a cracked wall where the Frog King shows himself again. Telling us how he became the top of the food chain here, feeding himself by the stray souls, cutting my job as a reaper short, warning us that he will eat us too. We walk through the flooded castle without difficulty until we reach the gate to its core. This castle is stuffed with hordes of enemies, one after another with worse enemies. We died a lot in this part, but luckily you unlock shortcuts from time to time. And after dying the most we have so far, we enter the fight with the frog, apparently also known as Grey Prince Zod. The fight starts out easy. Dodge the jumps, get behind him and cut off the 3 ropes holding his armor in place. With his armor off, he jumps out 3 times his size, going off the platform and then hitting tiles from the bottom to jump on us. Then from the top of the board, he spits bombs after us and destroys the tiles he hits. But for this area's mechanic, we can repair those kind of tiles by hitting objects with a red glow like his hammer. Whenever we had the opportunity, we threw a bomb down his throat, which actually brought us our first achievements nearly 4 hours in. And with that we just enter a loop until the fight is done and we collect the soul. We save the world together with the gravedigger, and after collecting a giant arrowhead we make our way into the mountains in the west. Past the cave we find a place cared for by a stranded sailor. His potter tells us he gets his soup from the sailor himself. In front of the sailor shop we meet a drunk crow crying for his love Betty. Inside we meet Sailor Jefferson himself, offering us a human-made meal we accept. As we devour the meal, Jefferson tells us of secrets across the world which will be helpful later as well. Just down some stairs is a new door and our clever grunt, but this time with his old grunt mask on the side and a new crow mask on his head, being a fan of ours. On our path we even walk into our lovely bard, telling us about finding her inspiration for her masterpiece, and the monster being on top of the mountain with the drunken crow from before having lost his love to it. But I see it positively and think of it being the perfect inspiration. So we smash the rocks and talk to them again. They thank us and think of us as the muse for the masterpiece and want to tag along with us on our journey ahead. We make our way as high as we can before going over a bridge to enter Castle Lockstone, immediately getting to know the new mechanic of this area of hitting 4 buttons in the given order to unlock a pulling lever to open the gate. Inside, the bard meets us, telling us to get to the top of the mountain we need to find a way through the castle. The enemy encounters in this area just became way harder than the ones before. We start taking multiple deaths per encounter to get the crows, mainly thanks to this guy. But after getting past him for the first crow soul, we understand the pattern, making easy process of the second soul before running into a golden armor enemy on the third crow, from which we get to know that we are in some sort of crypt for the old lords of the doors. After that we enter the crypt of the first lord, whose soul appears after lighting the fire, which also activates a torch in the main room. Lord Lockstone, from whom the crypt is named, explains that the Lord of Doors are anomalies of the universe, conscious beings born by mistake. His purpose is to preserve their own existence. After that conversation we make our way past falling platforms and buttons into the encounter of the 4th and final crow soul. This one not understanding how his life is just supposed to end whilst the current lord plans to live forever. With the ancient door open, we make our way to the chest. Another logbook reveals that the removing of the legacy doors derailed the search for missing Reapers, and with the new system erasing the workers of the system, disaster is on its way. The final logbook is by a crow, finding those same logbooks we did, clearly being angry towards the Lord of Doors, not caring about the crows, deciding to leave it all behind and heads towards Forbidden Region, trying to find a life without commissions, ending with a familiar laugh. Already in the Hall of Doors we max out our strength at the vault before going on our first Spectrac tour. We are not leaving the Hall of Doors just yet. We try to bring one of the green guys past our friend Paul Blood and his security scanner. In the cemetery we are immediately able to find another shrine as well as a compass hidden underground. Down there we also find a puzzle room that leads us into a strange room with an arrow spell above the door. Inside we immediately get into a fight, starting with an easy attack pattern until he hits his tuning fork on the ground, removing our ability to roll. To then start shooting bombs at us, as well as a fireball surrounding him, to then just hookshot out of the side spamming bombs, defeating us by jump attacking back in. After a good amount of tries, we take the silent servant down and gain an upgrade for our arrow. We don't find much more, so we make our way over to the witch's garden, and in the catacombs we burn down some webs and find another door, this time with the fire spell above it. Entering, we find another servant. This one gets up to 3 fireballs to circle around him. He falls way faster, granting us a fireball upgrade. In the garden we mainly collect more soul orbs and play around with the manhole covers, learning we can enter them by lunge attacking. Feeling stupid and thinking about it earlier, we walk down the sewer path, coming across an encounter just to pick up a sludge-filled urn. In another spot in the garden we light some fires, revealing a path letting us find another shrine. After checking the rest of the garden as well as the manor and the furnace area, not finding anything, we leave and head to the east. In the ruins we immediately make our way over some water and conquer a terrible encounter with toxic smog at the end of it for a soul orb and the shrine. After wandering around for a while just finding soul orbs, we find a hidden ladder where we use the hookshot to collect a malformed seed. Back at the camp we missed a hole in the wall, where we drop down to find another shrine, giving us a 4th shard of a magic crystal, completing it, earning us a 5th mana point. Down a manhole we also find a shrine, completing the vitality crystal, getting us up to 5 HP. Besides that we didn't find anything else in the ruins nor the dungeon. In the fortress we shot an arrow through an archway, activating some platforms for another magic shrine. Done with the area for now, we go back to the vault where we can get our 12th skill point. Onto the stranded sailor where we fight another smoke to find an ink covered teddy bear. Back in the castle we do some button hitting and hookshot puzzling to activate the 2nd and 3rd flame. We then talk to the spirit of Lord Deadbolt, the last lord before the current one. He talks about how his hard life was all about balancing the universe and the lord before him having grand delusions about purpose and fate. His duty binding him to death's door, taking the burden of controlling life and death, doing it for way longer than he should. And with his successor not interested in his teaching, he feared the battles he worked for being destroyed. Disappointed he gives us wise words of freedom, rarely being free, and true greatness costing your soul. Continuing, we find some signed contract behind a hidden path. We find the tomb of the third lord with the last fire to light. Lord Opengate questions our appearance, but realizes that the creation of Death's Door probably led the universe to great risk. Still certain everything will fix itself, and so will all things be part of keeping it in balance. We listen to the lines the bard has written so far, before we go up the elevator to climb all the way to the top of the castle, entering a mountain cave. And there we find a camp with a group of free-thinking crows, rejecting the ideas of the Lord of Doors and refusing unnatural immortal life. Varga, whom we assume is homeless, is their leader and tells us to go ahead, but also lets us know we always have a home with them. We do some ice parkour to earn a vitality crystal shard and go back to the stranded sailor to look around some more. We find some riddle, and whilst trying to solve it we find another shrine. We solve the riddle by pressing multiple buttons and go back to the start, opening the gate, rewarding us with the greatsword for the final weapon of the game. We start using it and parkour over the roofs to find the monster in a cave on top of the mountain. Inside we get a door and chat to the bard. They wish us luck and we take notes for the music. Being ready, we try our luck. Betty was the hardest boss we encountered at this point, with her rolls and big swings. In the end we also died a numerous amount of times before defeating her, collecting her soul. After the Gravedigger's speech we talk to the bard and they are happy with the adventure, amazed by the fact that Betty and the beast are the same, wondering if the drunken guy was in love with the beast, but at the same time feeling bad for them both, wondering if death or heartbreak is worse. After all, it's good material for us son. We go back to the stranded sailor and find our lovely bard once more, and listen to their magnum opus. Powered by the music, we go to their store. With the grey crow we open the door and step inside, meeting Death himself. Inside, Grey Crow explains how he is seeking a wandering soul. Death quickly explains souls passing through here are absorbed by the ether. Then we learn more about Death. He once did the same work we do now, but grew wary of watching the living grieve even though he knew that dying wasn't frightening and just part of the circle. Eventually, he accepted an offer from a creature able to create portals to outsource soul collection. As long as a great door remained open, the souls of the dead would be drawn into it. In return, the creature sought immortality. Though true immortality is impossible, since soul eventually decay into demonic forms and every life must end, after several generations of Lord of Doors, they all eventually entered the ether as agreed. Till the current one refused. He claimed the door had malfunctioned and needed Death's touch to reconnect it to the ether. But once the new door was made, he pushed Death through it, sealed it, and trapped him inside. leaving no way for death to return and no way for stray souls to pass on, meaning no one among the living could die. Grey Crow, only thinking about his assigned soul, not believing it's not here, goes mad, forcing us to fight him. Afterwards, we meet Death outside. He reflects on how strange it is to suddenly miss something, saying that even seeing it happen didn't prepare him. He understands it might be even harder for us, since we had to reap him, and he thanks us. But it isn't over. The door is gone, yet part of his power remains trapped, because crafting it required a piece of his soul. To end the cycle, the Lord of Doors must be stopped, so he sends us back to the office to finish the task. Back at the office, Varga announces Death's release and urges everyone to not fear, but look forward to a brighter future. We must accept our role in restoring balance and end the Lord of Doors regime, so natural life cycles can return. With the world on the brink, the prophecy must unfold. The crow who freed Death must bring the Lord of Doors down. With that said, the door to the Lord's office appears. And with the point of no return, we backtrack one last time. We find a shrine behind the witch's house of which Jefferson talked about, so we go back to him to get more hints. One for around the furnace core, for one inside the dungeons, and for one in the Lockstone Castle. In the furnace observation rooms we find a fatality shrine, and the Lockstone Castle we find a magic shrine, which finishes a magic crystal for another mana point. And deep in the mushroom dungeon we find a final shrine, giving us a vitality crystal for a total of 6 HP. We go back to Jefferson, but he can't help us anymore, so we just start looking around again, to find some more shiny things and the other 2 spell upgrades. In the Lost Cemetery we find the Silent Servant holding the bomb upgrade. And midway to our stranded cellar we not only find a token of death, but also the challenge for our hookshot upgrade. We return to the pot puzzle in the garden, since after collecting some shiny things we find that on the back of the old photograph is the code. It opens a hidden path for us where we plant the final seeds of the game, which open the door and also pick up the shovel, letting us know that we are at the Pothead's secret garden. Behind the stone door we find an octagon-shaped plate with a green glow, which looks like something that can fit on the back wall of the crow camp. Looking around more, we also find a makeshift soul key in the tutorial area. Not finding anything else, we head to the Lord of Doors, who is waiting. Showing his hatred towards his teacher, not even giving him a name, but he recognizes his selfish behavior and decisions, so he asks us, "Are you ready to fight for your life, as I am for mine?" The fight starts simple, with him only having a 3-hit combo. But after a couple of hits he starts to run, making us chase him through corridors, dodging bullets, before fighting us in the witch's garden, adding bombs to his arsenal. To let us run even more after him. We reach the ruins where he adds us jumping moves, spawning pillars for us to avoid. Running even further to the top of the mountains into Betty's arena, he copies a rolling attack, leading to the final chase, which ends at the beginning of the game. Going through the office we find him in front of the vault, questioning life and his existence, overall wondering what will happen if everyone dies. Quickly shutting the fort down, claiming he will never die. Claiming the souls from the vault, the final fight starts. In this fight he combines all the attacks and also adds the bullets from the chase, as well as learning how to shoot a laser beam. After a solid amount of tries he falls to his knees, asking for forgiveness as he fully shuts up, marking the end of the Lord of Doors. As Gravedigger ends his speech, Death uses the last Lord's soul to end the cycle of the Lord of Doors. After the credits we see Gravedigger take away the last Lord's body, leaving behind the key. We've beaten the game and are in the crow's camp, where in the back of it we can find the green glowing stone tablet put in place. Back in the office some doors started glowing red, indicating that there might be more to do. We pick up the rusty bell tower key left behind from the last Lord's body. Bringing it brings us to night. First mission of the night is in the ruins. The water went away, letting us get to a chest like the ones we got our abilities from. This chest also brings us waves with all different enemies and puts them in tough combinations, not letting us have a breather until we beat it. After whatever that was, we collect the yellow tablet. Looking around the area, the only thing we find is glowing paths in the flooded fortress leading to nothing. So we go walking around the mountain, and on top of Betty's lair we find a hidden door, letting us find a mysterious locket as the final shiny collectible. After reading the description, we make our way to the gravedigger. At his usual spot, the tomb is now open, and inside we find him. He tells us he didn't find the locket since he buried his only friend, on the day the ground shook and the sky turned black. Which sounds mysterious enough, but then tears drop from his face as he feels weird, his soul turning demonic. Fighting with his shovel, he is not only creating dirt clouds but also spawns little tombstone monsters to run us down. But in the end it doesn't stop us from taking him down. He's thankful for finally ending his time in this world, leaving us a purple tablet. In the cemetery we find a big stone door like in the potted secret garden, and since the night, souls appeared here as well. They're able to take damage from us, and seeing statues looking kinda similar, we try guiding them to them so they take place in them. And after guiding all 8 of them, the door opens. Inside, a teal tablet is hidden. On top of the old watchtowers, the wind stops in the night, and an owl is making aware of themselves. Find the owl and talking to them makes them go, only leaving a shard of a tablet behind. Since the wind is gone now, we can light the fires around the watchtowers, which were previously blown out, and after finding and lighting them all, another stone door opens, letting us grab the blue tablet. We go to the ruins again, and near the camp we hear another owl. Finding them earns us another shard. Checking the garden, we hear another owl, leaving the final shard for the pink tablet. With only a few glowing doors left, we go to the stranded sailor. Seeing everyone sleeping, we enter the shop. Jefferson starts talking to us for the teddy we have, offering us the biggest secret if we keep it to ourselves, that they are not really human. We agree and go on a stroll with Jefferson. The goal being the flooded fortress is quite a way, but we arrive there, and he tells us to take the path we previously went and didn't find anything. But as we reach the dead end, Jefferson calls up the spirits of the depths, getting us the red tablet. The last glowing door being the one for the free crow camp, we head there, finding all the tablets placed. We interact, opening a passage, and we walk in some kind of arena. Many centuries ago, the very first door was opened by a human, seeking the power of gods. Paying with their soul, the human fused with a being known as Truth, escaping with their soul lost in the ether. The first door shattered, with Truth being bound to the ruins. Ages later, the Lord of Doors scavenges fragments of the first door, using them to trap death behind it, stopping the natural cycle of life. The crow, rather the great crow, was assigned to the soul of the human who opened the first door. An impossible task. Truth would whisper to the 3 crows, slowly guiding them to let the cycle of life flow again. By having them tamper with assignments, giving them 4-toed crow a giant soul to reap, beginning the journey. In the end, the 4-toed crow gathers the 7 tablets of truth and would enter and behold the sight of the first door, and free the power of truth out of the prison. Back in the menu we can see our save file being 100%, leaving us with 1 missed interaction and a challenge for the final achievement. The challenge consists in beating the game only ever using an umbrella as your melee weapon. Everything starts out the same way, with the only difference being that we keep the umbrella with its 0.5 damage equipped. We use it as a tutorial fight before turning this run into a magic focused one. In the cemetery we start using the arrow spell as the main damage source against the Guardian. We then arrive at the Grey Crow and talk with them, receiving the quest of the 3 giant souls again, and start heading to the Witch's Manor. We clear the first part of the garden, chill with Potted on the bench and keep going, only collecting a magic crystal shard on the way. From the manor we go level up our strength for a second time to get through the early game better. We rush through the parcels of the manor, getting another magic shard whilst freeing the souls and ignoring Grandma. We then get our fire spell and our first point in magic. Heading down the furnace, we get the second point in magic as we enter the halfway point. From there we just run all the way through to Grandma. In this fight we mainly use spells, only attacking to get mana back. This also being the fight where we miss an interaction in our playthrough, we make sure to get it this time. We do that by shooting a fireball in her urn when she hides in it and starts spinning in circles. After greedily trying to be fast, I lose a couple of tries before getting her soul. Everyone says goodbye and we go to meet the Lord of Doors again, only to be kicked out once more. We collect some soul orbs in the cemetery as we make our way into the ruins, where we just rush through to get our third magic shard next to the camp and the magic horn. We bring it back, opening the dungeon, where we this time get all the souls in our first go to unlock the second chest in order to get the bomb spur. In the Flooded Fortress we get our fourth magic shard to unlock an extra mana point. We womp our way through the encounters and make it to the Frog King, doing the same as last time. We leave for the mountains as soon as Gravedigger is done talking. In Lockstore Castle we again free the souls to beat the enemies in the chest, earning our hookshot. Now we climb to the mountain and reach Betty's lair. After bombing and burning her we got all 3 souls, level our magic to the max, leaving us with the Grey Crow and the last Lord's fight undone for the playthrough. The Grey Crow becomes a way harder fight if you don't wield a great sword with max strength. We even get some more attacks than last time, letting me look like a fool. Spell windows are smaller than the ones for normal attacks, but even with these gravity bombs that pull me in and the bird swarm he spits out, we managed to beat him with our spells. Death freed and the revolution starting, there is now nothing stopping us from going after the last Lord. From dying in the mini-phase, jumping off the path on the chase on my last health, we make it to the vault and checkpoint of the final fight. After some tries, he falls to his knees and we get the final achievement. Thank you for watching and please consider subscribing.